You can't build a campfire in the ocean.
Why? That's my truth.
Welcome to the College of Valor, where we empower truth seekers with the art of reason. Hope is the motivation. Truth is the goal. Everyday valor is the practice. Better living is the result. Today's show, let's move on in. Today's show, we are doing kind of an introductory episode, and we're going to talk about a lot of different points today that really we could probably do 3 or more episodes on each of these points that we're going to briefly touch on today, right? We will go deep in this program. This project is all about learning deeply, and so we will be doing that. But today, we just want to give you a sample of where we're headed. And so the topic today, it's kind of how to think. But more importantly, the topic today is really why belief matters. And so we're going to be talking about belief and how beliefs shape your life.
No small feat right there. Dang.
No small feat.
That is a word bomb.
Well, I want to start out, Lydia, and you and I can have a conversation about this. And Lydia, break in at any time to ask a question or interrupt or add on to, my ramblings. So before we dive into why belief matters, I wanted to couch this in something that's going to be prevalent, hopefully ubiquitous through all of the programs that we put together. And that is that these discussions are held in the spirit of love. One of my core beliefs, axiomatic, foundational, perhaps almost the most foundational belief I have, is that love really matters. That love is the most powerful force in the universe. And, you can get into debates with people and you kind of get into the realm of who's wrong and who's right, or trying to out debate someone else or prove that you're right and they're wrong, that's not what this is about. That's not what the College of Valor is about.
Right.
Rather, it's about relationship and love and learning together. Now, we can agree to disagree in love. And if someone says something to me that I feel like is way off in left field, it doesn't change my heart for them, right? I can still love that person. And it's really a major issue in our society today because everyone is so confrontational. Maybe that's a little bit of a hyperbole, right? I'm exaggerating a little bit, say everyone, but it seems very, very popular that people are confrontational, especially with social media. It's so easy to, type a little one-liner and boom, drop a bomb on who knows how many people in your social media group. I see a lot of that in politics, a lot of it in sound bites, a lot of sound bites where people are very pointed and they say poignant things that can be very hurtful. And it's all this one-upmanship, and everyone that disagrees with me is wrong, even though the world is waving the banner of tolerance. A true tolerance is not practiced. It's very strange. So the College of Valor is about love. That's the foundation for conversation. And when people love each other, they can talk about difficult topics. They can disagree, and iron sharpens iron, right?
Yeah.
Through processing through the disagreements, they can grow an understanding, and they may never agree. They don't have to, but they can respect each other, and they can respect the process of learning. And that's all done because more important than who's right or who's wrong is that we can share together.
I really love that. It's not an easy task to do, especially when you feel so strongly about something. A lot of people just feel that their need to communicate that strong opinion is more important than loving the other person. And that's where so many of these problems sprout from. People don't have a basis of love or tolerance or respect for anyone else. So how do we build that? What's the foundation for building love, loving other people. Love is a foundation. How do we incorporate that into our lives?
Well, here's the crazy thing. I would argue that if we asked 1,000 people to tell us what love was, we'd probably get 1,000 different answers.
Yeah.
And so when one asks the question, well, how do we build love as a foundation in our lives? We might have to define our terms. And we could do a dozen episodes on just this one question, and it would be worth a dozen episodes because it is that important.
Right.
It's that important. But may I quickly just define like 3 types of love?
Yes, I think that would be good.
Okay, so one type of love is what people would call brotherly or sisterly love. And it's weird because in other languages, they have different words for these things, but in English, we only have one. We call it love.
Right.
We could say, oh, I love this chocolate bar. What? That's
And also, I love you.
and I love you. Wait, what's going on here? Well, we use the same word too liberally, right? But there's this brotherly love or sisterly love, friendship love. We have a city in the United States that's named for that. Do you know what that city is?
No, I don't.
Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah. Filio.
The city of brotherly love.
Okay.
Delphia meaning city, filio meaning love, brotherly love. That's the Greek term, at least one of the tenses of the Greek term for brotherly love, right?
Right.
So then there's another type of love, which is the highest form of love. And this is the love that I'm talking about practicing and growing, especially when you get into difficult relationships with people. And that's being able to get outside of yourself and care for someone because of their innate value, because they're a human being. They matter. They're a part of this planet in this existence. And as such, they have intrinsic value. And you have to see that value even when they're really disappointing.
Right. Yeah.
And that type of love is reaching for the divine. It's loving people not because of what they're doing or who they are or how they treat you, but loving people because they're worth loving.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of humility as well to realize we're not perfect either. People always have disagreements, but love creates the bridge so that people can come together and learn and grow and benefit from the exchange. And that's, you could call it divine love, right? That's a very high, the highest type of love.
And I think along with that too, if you think about divine love, you think about sort of this all-encompassing knowledge of love, like loving this person completely. And along with that, it kind of, I think from a more pragmatic standpoint, it helps to analyze where the other person is coming from. When they may do something really hurtful and you want to love that person, a good mental dialogue would be, okay, why are they doing this behavior? I'm not looking at the behavior. I'm looking past the behavior. Why are they acting like this? They may say a hurtful comment, like you're in middle school or whatever, and someone calls you ugly. You can be upset that that person called you ugly, or you can realize that maybe they're having a lot of trouble at home, or they're having a lot of trouble with a subject that you're really good at in school. And you can think, oh, that wasn't even about me. That was just them trying to process all of these negative emotions that they have about themselves. So I think a lot of being able to love other people is understanding why they're acting the way that they do.
Yeah. There's one other thing that a saying that goes back for thousands of years, and that is that love covers a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
When we hurt each other, love can make up the difference and allow a relationship to continue. And I'm not talking about being vulnerable to a very unhealthy dynamic in a relationship.
Right.
You can avoid being vulnerable and still love. It might be tough
Mhm.
love, but you can love. So I'm not talking about just being a pushover in relationships. But I love what you
Well, that
said.
wouldn't be truly loving, right? To be
All
a
right.
pushover.
Yeah, that's true. What you just said, Lydia, about looking beyond the circumstances to perhaps what might be causing,
Mm-hmm.
what's going on, that can allow us to kind of relate to what the other person is going through. And that's just a long-winded way of saying compassion.
Right.
Right. And compassion really is a form of love as well. And we could talk about other types of love. Obviously, we have to talk about erotic love, sexual love, but that's not the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's very intimate, and it can be the outpouring of other types of love, romantic love. It
Right.
can also help to enhance other types of love. But I like to make the distinction that erotic love is a different thing than that compassion that we were just talking about, or that divine love that we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And but we have all these different types of love. So when we are talking about love in the College of Valor, and I say this needs to be couched in love, I'm sure that all elements of love are wrapped into there in some degree, but really what I'm talking about is kind of that I love you because you're a human, and I value
Mm-hmm.
you because of who you are, and we can agree to disagree and still care for one another, have compassion, try to understand where the other person is coming from,
Oh, that's so
and
good.
build bridges in love. So anytime we're talking about any subject, and we're going to get into some very controversial subjects
Yeah.
in the College of Valor, that's just what's going to happen. There's no way that
We
we
did
can talk
not
about
pick
them.
an easy, cheesy podcast.
No, you can't talk about things that really matter without talking about things that are very, very highly controversial. But we always want to do so couched in love.
Mm.
And, here are a couple of thoughts. I like to think about love in a variety of ways. Love is like the sunshine on a cold winter's day that heats you and warms you. Have you ever stopped
Right.
when it's a really cold day and the sun is out and you look up at the sun and you just feel its warmth, its life-giving warmth?
Mm-hmm.
Love is the soil that allows beautiful plants to grow, that nurtures them, provides them with nutrition and water and the things that the plant needs to just grow and have amazing fruit.
Right.
That's what love is.
Yeah.
Maybe love is a campfire on a dark night in the woods.
That's one of my favorite kinds of love. It's pretty cool.
It provides a little bit of light so we can see a little bit, and a little bit of
Yeah.
warmth so that we're not so cold, and a little bit of comfort knowing that we're less alone. Somehow, a campfire in the woods does that, and love does
Mhm.
too. So
Yeah.
anyway, like I said, we could do dozens of episodes on love, but
And we will eventually.
we
It's
will
gonna happen.
eventually. It's going to happen. But let's dive into more of today's topic. I wanted to start out by kind of talking about what I'm seeing a lot in the world today, which I feel like is counterproductive to having a rich, fulfilling life.
Yeah.
I see a lot in the world today of, well, I'll just say propaganda, even though that kind of has a negative connotation. But I see a lot of belief systems that are being put out and promoted, and not all those belief systems are healthy or valuable or beneficial to people. And we're not here to tell you what to believe. We're here to help you to learn how to discover what you should believe on your own. But a lot of what we're seeing today is beliefs that have been taught and reinforced with social media, and even
Yeah.
reinforced with the commercial media,
Right.
And these are beliefs that maybe aren't really founded that well in some sort of a thought process, a, a progression of logical thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a lot of people I feel that may be a little bit unsure of what they believe. And I need to confess, we should all be unsure of what we believe to some degree because it's a
Right.
journey, it's a learning
Yeah.
process, right? If you're set in your beliefs, you've made a mistake.
Can't
Because
teach an old dog new tricks.
right, we have to continuously be seeking better understanding, and that's the way that life gets better and better and better.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the reason for the College of Valor is because I just see so many people, and I'm gonna say it, especially young adults
Yeah.
today, who just haven't been given much in the way of a foundation to stand on, and they maybe have never been taught how to reason through life critical issues. And
Right.
a lot of people do have skills like that, but we can all learn and grow. So
Yeah.
why belief matters. It's one of the first things. It's just fundamental to College of Valor. And I think of it this way: we make thousands of decisions every day. And those
Mm-hmm.
decisions are based on a hierarchy of values and understanding, but of hierarchy of values. And our values are determined by a belief system. And I mean, it can be very, very simple. Here's just one example. Um, the alarm goes off in the morning and you have a decision to snooze it or to get out of bed.
Oh, I feel personally attacked right now.
Well, here's the thing: neither one of those is a bad thing.
Right.
It depends on the circumstance and what is on tap for you that day. And it also depends on how rested you are and what's healthy for the moment. But you can see how your belief system helps to determine whether or not you hit the snooze button or jump out of bed. And we have these people who are morning people who trumpet that and say, this is the only way. If you want to be successful, you must get out of bed. Matter of fact, you should be waking up before your alarm goes off,
Right.
Right. Okay. I do that because I'm old. I do that because I can't sleep very long. But the reality is that your belief system determines the outcome of that. Now, let's go on just a little bit further. You jump in the shower. Are you going to shampoo your hair that day or not? It's not always healthy to shampoo your hair every day, though I do. But that's a decision. You start to brush your teeth. Are you going to do the quick brush or the in-depth brush? Well, how much time do you have? What is your belief system? Right? You jump in the
Right.
car and you head to work. What's the route you're going to take? Are you going to stop at Starbucks on the way, or are you not going to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Right. Yeah.
So we may not realize it, that we literally make thousands of decisions every day. And every decision at one point at least was determined by a belief system. And small decisions seem kind of, I don't know, trivial, non-consequential. But the reality is that they add up. And the sum of
Mm-hmm.
all these small decisions can change your life. So I'm not saying whether it's better to be a morning person or not. I am saying it's better to be healthy and to do what's required of you for your life goals.
Right.
Right. Now, these are just small decisions. Now let's think about the bigger ones. What about the way that you interact with people that you see each day or sometimes or periodically? How do you react to people based on what you think of them and your interpersonal skills and dynamics? That's based on your belief system. Now, that's much bigger deal than how you brush your teeth. And the
Yeah.
reason is because now we're talking about other people. You're influencing them, they're influencing you. Let's take it to the next level. This can impact your dating life. This can
Mm-hmm.
impact your marriage. This can impact your social group and your friends. And these sorts of decisions really matter. A bigger deal. How about the decision about where to go to school or what job to take or how to set up your schedule? Where do you want to live? Those sorts of decisions are massive and very much life changing. And those decisions will be made based on your belief system that determines a hierarchy of values that you hold as important.
Right.
Is that redundant? Values are important? I don't think it is. that they are. And so what I'm trying to point out is that belief really matters. But, we need to kind of back up a little bit, because belief is about seeking truth. And part of our mission statement is truth seekers are who we're addressing. And it is my goal that everybody on earth become a truth seeker if they're not already. And actually everyone automatically is. It's impossible to function as a human being without truth seeking. And the reason is because we are constantly evaluating what's more important than something else in our lives. And that hierarchy of value is based on what we perceive truth to be.
Yeah, man, I saw this quote by Austin Klein. He said that truth does not exist in some abstract realm of thought, independent of social relationship or actions. Instead, the truth is a function of an active process of engagement with the world and verification. So
wow, well
exactly
said.
like what you were saying.
Yeah, very, very well said. So there are some philosophies that go way back. And I like to read philosophers, but I'm not a philosopher. So forgive me, all you philosophers out there, for when I name the wrong person or misquote somebody. But postmodernism is a philosophy that has really become popular in, the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you one of my beliefs, one of the things that I hold to be true. And I know there are a lot of people out there that really like the idea of postmodernism, and we're going to explore it, and we can agree to disagree. I believe that postmodernism is very, very harmful to you individually and to the world's societies. That's a strong statement. Yeah. We'll back that up later. But let me tell people who are not aware or familiar with postmodernist ideas what that means. One of the big things about postmodernism is the idea that truth doesn't necessarily exist on its own, and that truth is interpretive, that truth changes depending on circumstances and individuals. And let's just take it to kind of the more extreme example. You and I, Lydia, could disagree about something passionately. And the postmodernist position, even if what we disagree on, these two things are mutually exclusive. One cannot be true at the same time that the other one is true. Like the double think from 1984.
Right.
War is peace. Right. Those sorts of concepts. We could disagree that much. And the postmodern perspective is that we're both right and it's both true, even though these truths are in conflict and are mutually exclusive.
So what does mutually exclusive mean?
Well, one cannot be a part of the other. They can't coexist. And people say things like oil and water. They just don't mix, right? Mutually exclusive. You can't, that campfire we were just talking about earlier, you can't build a campfire in the ocean.
Why? That's my truth.
That's your truth. So here's the thing. I believe that cognitive dissonance, believing two things to be true at the same time that cannot coexist, cannot both be true at the same time. I believe that is internally destructive. It causes problems. Now, if you have two different people, they can have that dissonance where one believes one thing to be true and another believes another to be true. They can't both be right because these two truths are mutually exclusive.
Right.
Postmodernism says they are both true because someone believes it. I don't believe that. Probably
so
both are
how do
wrong.
We get out of that cycle then?
Well, let's redefine truth a little bit. There's so much in this.
Truth, Dad?
What is truth? You can write dissertations on that one.
Yep.
Well, let's dive in a little bit.
Questions.
We have to define our terms. And we could define truth as empirical evidence. Right? Something that we can measure We can
The
measure it over
biologist
and
in
over
me
and
just got
over.
really happy.
All right. So we could define truth that way. We can measure
Mhm.
it over and over and over. It always turns out the same way. So it becomes a truth. It becomes a theory. It
Right.
becomes empirical, or there are other types of truth. And I don't want to dive too much into that right now because I want to rewind a little bit. We could say that truth is what you were taught at Sunday school or what your teacher taught in grade school. We could say that truth is what you choose to accept because it fits in a nice, cozy way in your little belief system.
Mm.
Right?
Oh, that's huge. Yeah.
We could say that truth is what you feel is really, really important. So it must be true. A lot of people believe that something they really want to be true is true because they want it to be, it must be. That's called faith, by the way, or wishful thinking, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
Right.
So what is truth? Let's think of it this way. I'm just going to give my opinion on how I deal with truth. First of all, I just said that I don't like the postmodern idea that multiple truths that are in conflict with each other could both be true at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can be true for one person and true for another, but I believe that ultimately that's impossible. One does not equal two. Black is not white.
Mm.
And because of that, we need a higher definition of truth. And this is one of the axioms for my life. And I'm not saying that all the listeners out there have to agree with me, but I'll confess what I believe. I believe that there is one single absolute truth about all matters.
Dun, dun, dun.
Boom, boom, mic drop. However, I have to qualify it before you hang up the phone here. No one has that truth.
Ah, yeah.
So I believe that truth is the pinnacle of knowledge. It's all
Right.
knowledge, and no one is there.
Mm.
Instead, we're all in a journey toward truth. And as we learn greater and greater and greater understanding, then hopefully, if we're doing something right, we're gaining more and more truth. So I don't
Right.
believe in mutually exclusive truths. I believe there's one truth, and the two people that are having this debate about what's true, neither of them have it, right? But the process of exploring the other people's understandings might lead both of them closer to that pinnacle of truth.
Yeah, absolutely. They can get little segments of truth from one another and help each other to realize, different things that they may not have thought about before that no longer support the truth that they thought was true before that is no longer true.
Well, truth is personal in the sense that we each have a personal journey. And by interacting like you just described, then our personal small t truth can grow closer to the capital T truth.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why I believe that postmodernism has missed the boat. And I know there are a lot of people that would love to debate me on that one, but I have something close to postmodernism that I think applies. And in my mind, it makes sense. And that's pragmatic truth. Thank you so much for listening to episode 1. The conversation continues on episode 2, where we talk about a lot more of what truth really is, what pragmatic truth is, and how that is different from postmodernism, and then how to use truth and the foundations for truth to make life better every day. Thanks again for listening. We love you guys.